Antlers, assumptions, and artillery. Things were going all right. Bjorn being passed from girl to girl was awkward as he doesn't know how to dance 5-on-1. Thankfully, it's not so much the dance moves he has as the 8-pack he's developed. That's the bit of axiom use he's been taking advantage of, using the power to help melt away excess body fat while still eating a decent amount. 3 Lirak, a rabbis, and Holly are a lot of people to juggle, but thankfully Holly's decision to play nice has prevented any real drama from kicking off, which is a relief. The girls are worn down moderately quickly, and out of the corner of his eye, he spots the club owner a few times. The gobe is distinctive with slight blue traces dyed into her hair, and she seems to be making a point of seeing that everyone is having fun. But then she shows up again, and again. Showing up constantly in the span of just an hour or so is odd, and it twigs Bjorn. Thankfully, they retire to a table after a short while. It doesn't matter what kind of shape a non-human girl is, she doesn't have much staying power. Evolution is a bitch. "Hey, what do you girls know about the club owner?" Bjorn asks, as the girls sit and pant. They can't exactly regulate their body heat without axiom all that well. Not that the light sheen of sweat on him is making things easier. It's clear that they really want to go. But something is up. "Miss Greenplume? She's all right. Most pavers get really uppity, but having a gobe for a father made her feathers all green." Irma the rabbis replies even as she waves some drinks over. "But it was a gobe woman that claimed to own this place. It even showed up as having a gobe owner on the site," Holly says, and she looks to Bjorn, who nods. He adjusts the way he's sitting to have a hand partially in a pocket just in case. "Yeah, some girl's been trying to buy this place, but it's not for sale," Irma replies with a shrug. "Bjorn?" Holly asks as he starts scanning the area again. Unfortunately, with Gobes being a smaller race, he's not going to spot one unless she's close by. Too much leg and hip in the way to actually spot someone, to say nothing of the sheer quantity of ass. "That Gobi claimed to own this place. I had a look at her from a security feed and she's been showing up over and over. But you girls say that a Pavoris owns green gals," Bjorn says as he spots numerous women standing in advantageous positions all over the room. He had dismissed them as bouncers and club security, the sort of thing you should see around here, but now he's not so sure. "Do you see something?" Holly asks him, and he scratches his chin. "Maybe. There's an unusually large amount of security. Of course, we haven't been here before, we don't know how much is the usual amount of security." "Where are you spotting them?" Lils asks. She's technically the most dressed if the thigh-high boots she's all but popping out of count as clothing. "There, there, 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 and there." Bjorn nods to each little bundle in turn, and after the first 2, the girls begin frowning. "That's not normal," Solace adds in. She's dyed the tip of her tail stark white for how it looks under the black lights. "We need to," Bjorn begins before he senses something and looks to the right. The Gobe is there, staring directly at him. His eyes narrow behind his shades at her smirk. She reaches for something hidden on her person even as he stands up and starts heading her way. She pulls out a communicator and Bjorn detects movement out of the corner of his eye. The security slats are descending and locking them in. Bjorn rushes the Gobe, who winks out of existence in a teleport before he can get to her. He scans the nearby area in case it was short-ranged, and then goes back to the table. "You girls need to get down low. Something's happening and we've been locked in." He tells them and they look at him oddly. "Something's happening?" Holly asks with her eyes wide. "I think we stumbled on something or were scouted for a trap of some kind." Bjorn replies as a lot of people figure out that they've been trapped inside, and the dancing starts to die off. He pulls out his communicator. "Dispatch, this is Bjorn. We're on the 20th commercial floor in a club called Green Gals. The security blinders have descended. There's a surplus of so-called security and a fake owner. We may need backup. He calls into the base below. 20th commercial floor? That's halfway up the arcology. The dispatcher complains. Something's up. I'm going to try to get my VIP to safety, but the main paths are already blocked. May I have your attention, please? A voice asks over the speaker. Shit's happening. Gotta go. Bjorn says, tucking away the communicator in a breast pocket where it can act like both camera and microphone for dispatch. May I have your attention, please? The voice asks again. Good evening, ladies, and especially gentlemen. Now, many of you have noticed that the blinders are closed and that the security aren't the usual people. Now, I don't want to be the bitch here, but I work for an agency that's recently run low on talent. Male talent, to be specific. So guess what, boys? It's time to be a hero. If the men in the crowd will please head to the DJ, both will be having some business for you to do. Don't worry, you won't be hurt by it. We'll even bring you back home within the month. The voice on the speakers continues, and Bjorn starts pulling out the pieces of his automatic rifle and quickly slapping it together. And to the human bodyguard in the crowd, yes, we know who you are. Yes, we know you're here. Bear in mind all the civilians surrounding you. Do you really want their blood on your hands? Blood washes off, failure doesn't, Bjorn calls out. If the attention is on him, then it's not on Holly. Everyone who wants to live get down, under the tables. His group ducks down, and that keys several more to do so. This starts a wave as the club quickly ducks down and out of the way, making Bjorn stand out massively with his large rifle pointed to the nearest group of bouncers. The women pause partway through withdrawing weapons, and he grins. You girls are idiots. Inviting a human into your little hostage situation is like throwing a brick of pure potassium into a swimming pool. Shit's gonna blow. Bjorn chides them as he keeps his head on a swivel. 22 women, and whoever the mysterious broadcaster is. Calm down, human. We're just having a little transaction with the men. You might even want to sign up. After all, you humans are always in season. It's more a vacation to someone like you. Maybe unpaid, but you get to claim legal compensation. Business before pleasure. Always. Bjorn retorts, not mentioning that with the galaxy, the way it is all a man like him has to do to get all the ass he could possibly want is say yes. Now, things don't have to be so unpleasant, Mr. Human. What's the real plan? Bjorn asks upward at the speakers. What? What is the real plan? This is way too much effort for far too little gain. You're either an idiot, which, considering that you've taken control of the club and already inserted your goons, that's unlikely, or something else is going on. Darling, what makes you think that this is big enough to need much in the way of brains? Who's to say that we don't just want some man-ass? This is a distraction, isn't it? Bjorn asks out loud, and there is a deafening silence from the projector. There's something going on in this arcology, or somewhere in orbit where this arcology is set to overview in some way. You have a big thing happening to men in them very middle of the arcology, getting the eyes below and the eyes above to look directly at us. Bjorn notes out loud, and a lot of the girls start whispering. Not to mention the lack of communication jammers. If you were really up to something big here, then you'd have blocked our warnings in and out. Instead, you're letting everyone call for help. There's a buildup of light across the room, and Bjorn can barely turn his head in time to have a laser crash into his forehead. The lane of burning red light blooms twice on the way to him due to atmospheric imbalances, and screams fill the room. Bjorn merely hefts his rifle, takes careful aim, and squeezes off a shot at his attacker. The bang elicits more screams from the now terrified club, and the woman trying and failing to kill him drops dead, her own excellent accuracy matched by his own. A ball of plasma goes streaking through the air, and while it would naturally miss him anyways, Bjorn intercepts the attack by outright catching it and crushing the burning construct in his left hand. Watch your aim, you idiots. When the guns don't even have kickback, you've got no excuse, Bjorn chides them. How are you immune to lasers and plasma? Good God, you people evolved with Axiom. How do you not know how to take advantage of it? Bjorn demands crossly. Sergeant Veers, come in. His communicator goes off and he presses a switch on the side. Veers here, you're on speaker. You're correct. The idiots in the club are a distraction from a hijacking of several cargo containers in orbit. We managed to speak to nearby arcologies and got them to boost their scanning signals into where this arcology's supposed to watch. Really? And the ETA of my backup? About 10 seconds ago. You'll notice that the bitch on the horn has been rather quiet. Really? Bjorn asks with a huge grin on his face. Teleporting Marines. The military innovates. I must have missed a class or two. You've been a busy little bodyguard. Dispatch replies, and there's the sound of a thump and struggle on the speakers. Sergeant Veers, we've got the ringleader of this little shit show. You're on defensive overwatch. Keep the people in there. We'll have the police there shortly. A man says over the speakers and Bjorn nods. All right, this little shit show has just turned inside out now, hasn't it, ladies? As you've seen, I'm laser and plasma proof, but none of you are kinetic proof, and I've got kinetics for days. Behind. Bjorn turns as he hears movement behind him. There's a Horchka charging hard with a huge smile on her face that shows off not only her tusks, but sharp teeth. You! She's inside his effective range in a heartbeat, and he swings the gun at her like a club, but she swats it away even as she dodges and then takes a quick probing punch at him. He partially dodges and takes a bruising blow to the shoulder, but keeps his balance and grabs onto her head before kneeing her in the nose. She staggers back in response, even as he reaches into his pocket to pull out a strap he clips onto his rifle. At melee range, a gun will only kill civilians and give you a hard time. So he slings it over his back and cracks his knuckles. Okay, let's play. She's on him in an instant with a brutal uppercut he dodges. She gets a foot to where her liver would be if she were human, but he's fighting a Horchka, smaller organs, and is even missing a few. It's just a body shot. The kick had opened a bit of distance, but Horchka are big girls and she's got better reach. He has to dodge a pair of swipes that would probably be a lot scarier if she had claws instead of nails, but he doesn't like the idea of claws or nails taking a chunk out of him. He catches movement and he spots one of the criminals trying to sneak off. He ducks in close to the Horchka and starts getting way too close to actually hit as he unshoulders the rifle, does a bit of footwork silliness, and then squeezes off a shot into the distance. The Horchka jumps away in shock and the sneaking woman pauses as the shot slams into the wall right next to her hand. Next one goes through you. Don't push me. You're keeping watch on them while fighting me? The Horchka asks incredulously. Yes, Bjorn says simply, and she smiles widely. So the rumors were true, Apex warriors all, she says with a huge smile and charges again. He doesn't have time to holster the gun, so he uses it to batter her away after he rolls with the attack. Another girl in the distance tries to sneak off and he squeezes off a warning shot for her. They think he can't spot them just because he's got a 7-foot raging berserker in his face? The warning goes for you too. Eyes on the prize, big boy, the Horchka declares, rushing him with a flying drop kick, and he jumps hard to be carried over. Nice try, she exclaims, grabbing him around the ankle and hurling him across the club. He hits the ground, rolls and rises up with the rifle ready and aimed straight at her. Hands behind your head. What? But you... The Horchka protests as she processes the fact that he now has more than enough distance to make proper use of the rifle. That's not fair. Business before pleasure. I'm not here to be fair. I'm here to win. Bjorn notes as he scans the room. No one's trying anything. Good. He manages to hold the stalemate for a few minutes, and then the sound of a siren echoes from outside. This is the police. We have the area surrounded and are working in tandem with undaunted soldiers. Come out with your hands up. Game over, man, game over. Bjorn's tone is incredibly smug.